Oh, hi, today it's the 9th of October 2025. This is my third attempt doing this video because I don't want to make it too long because people don't listen. If it's too long, they switch off. My filming settings are where I'm at. It's very hard to do it outside in the daytime. You get too many interruptions. People come up to you and God knows what. You can't get a video done. So that's what I've got for today. I'm not identifying myself in the video because I lack the confidence to do that. It might be for another day. So what you see is what you get. The video, I'm going to upload this to Mental Health Services Expose the Truth. It's not a personal direct dig, but it involves them. So I feel this channel is as good as any place to post it. So that's where it's going to end up. The topic for today is about, it's being talked about and discussed in the Exeter area by several professionals which are outside of mental health services, Devon Partnership Trust, about trying to get a night shelter in place in Exeter for people in mental health crisis. There is nothing, and I don't want to choose a particular genre, which is like, well, there's people with drink problems, drug problems, homelessness problems. Well, yeah, all of that invariably comes down to some mental health dysregulation. But I have to, fin it down to a particular sort of category, which is only for people in mental health crisis at this stage. Because if not, a service would just get inundated with all these problems we have in society right now. So the night shelter would be based on the principle of helping people who are in mental health support only. It's not about the other problems at this stage. It's dedicated, and I would wish it to be dedicated to people in mental health crisis only. A drop-in centre, a night shelter, etc. I don't know the opening hours at the moment. I don't know what can be achieved. I'd like to think midnight to 7 a.m. in the morning, but that's a tall order. That's a big ask. But something between the late hours, all these daytime services that close in the daytime. All you have in Exeter is the mooring centre. I'm not going to get onto that tonight, but I'm not satisfied with it. It's not fit for purpose. Is a short story. If you're in mental health crisis in the late hours in Exeter, you have nowhere to go. Your choices are thus: you go to A&E and sit there for 12 hours, which is, it's just not acceptable. It's not suitable. It's not enough. You end up in an ambulance or you ring 999. That's not really suitable. If you're in real bad mental health crisis and you're out in the public, high chance probability you'll get picked up by the police. If the police pick you up in a mental health crisis, they will assess you, and if they say you're unstable and in a mental health crisis, they have the powers to detain you under 136 of the Mental Health Act. This then gives them, they can make a decision to take you to A&E, which you can already do, or they can take you to the place of safety, which is in Exeter, Mental Health Services headquarters. There's a problem there. A lot of people are not aware of this, and I stand to be corrected if it's not true, but I am pretty confident you cannot self-refer to the place of safety unless you're a professional. So you can't refer. You can't just rock up and knock on the door and go, look, I'm in crisis. So you can't go there. So the only time you can go to the place of safety is if the police detain you and detain you under 136. Then they can take you there for further assessment. That's it. There is nothing else. It's as simple as that. So by having a night shelter or a night drop-in cafe, what it gives, it doesn't have to give much, but what it gives may be enough to help a person in a total meltdown crisis situation to de-escalate themselves, calm down, bring their anxiety down and all the rest of it. And they could avoid those other services which are somewhat available. I don't know how to manage it. I don't know how to structure it. I'm talking with my lived experiences, which means, do you know what? 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're in mental health crisis, a full-on meltdown, fight or flight, suicidal, self-harming, end of life, suicidal sort of situation. If you had somewhere to go 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, simple fact that you can go somewhere into a drop-in cafe, night shelter, speak to somebody, a cup of tea and a biscuit, sit and watch a TV, anything, I don't know, game console, anything to distract you and help you regulate your mental health crisis, potentially could be a lifesaver for many people. I don't see how something like that could be hugely expensive. Christ, how much is a barrel of biscuits and some tea bags? It's not the end of the world. I've discussed this with many people in various work groups I go to. The ones I've tried, I feel dissatisfied. I've been banging the drum for quite some time and it's just not materialising. I don't know the reason why. I'm not going to name them. They know who I am. They know what I mean. They know where I'm coming from. Somewhere central in the city centre. There are plenty of empty, non-used premises in Exeter city centre or surrounding area. Most of them are owned by the city council or Devon County Council. They just sit empty, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years. They're just empty. They're not being used. It doesn't have to be a high set-up situation, just somewhere where someone can visit and feel safe, make a cup of tea, put a telly on. Somewhere like that would be a huge safety net for people in crisis, because this situation at the moment of people in crisis wandering the streets, it's just not satisfactory. It's not acceptable. If you're in mental health crisis and you end up wandering the streets, I've done it myself. It's not a safe place for you in a mental health crisis. I'm not discriminating against any of the people, but people who are homeless and high on drugs and alcohol can be challenging. If you're in a mental health crisis and you're confronted by that, it can cause a lot of further problems to everybody. So that's the importance of it. Driving home the message is somewhere to go at 3 o'clock in the morning. I do feel strongly about it. I have lived experience. My mental health is chronic at times. As an example, 2 months ago, I was in a mental health crisis. I ended up in the town centre, and it seems that because the police couldn't identify me and knew who I was under the mental health, a lot of the police officers are familiar with me. They know who I am. Well, this given night, they couldn't identify me. They couldn't work out who I was, and my mental health crisis escalated, and I got mace sprayed or parvo sprayed in the face. I put in a complaint, and the complaint's being carried through, that they shouldn't have sprayed me so quickly. They sprayed me very quickly because they couldn't identify me. They didn't know I was under mental health services. Horrific experience. So that's the problem. If you're bouncing off the walls and you're out and about, a drop-in centre could make a difference between you de-escalating your crisis of mental health, potentially keeping you safe. So yeah, that's about it really. It takes time to do this. It can't happen overnight, but it can be done. Something's got to change in Exeter, because I looked at some statistics for mental health in Exeter, and it's not good reading. There's a high level of people in mental health crisis on any given week, any given day. And instantly, because there's a lack of services and support, they end up in a police cell, a police car, or an A&E. A&E is not the place for you in a full-on mental health crisis. If you've got schizophrenia, bipolar, emotionally unstable disorder, etc., placing you in A&E for 12 hours, trust me, it's not a place to be. So that's really what the video's about. I've probably missed out loads of it. There's more to add, but it's ongoing.